Welcome back to escaping dystopia. Hold on. Let me get my water. Alright. So, it's been a little while. It's been a month. I think at least a month since we talked to you folks. I wish that it hadn't been so long, but it is what it is. So we're going to talk about some stuff that I had and some weird technical difficulties. technical. I watched, back when I was a wee lad, there was this show by the name of Max Headroom. Max. And the actor, actually, who did it had, like, this big, long hiatus. I'm sure there's some sort of explanation for that. But anyway, he's been in a couple shows I've seen recently. Hence the inspiration for the filter of the night, as we try some other stuff. This is episode 51. We're in a whole nother genre here now of shows. Actually, like I said, I've been taking the month off. We'll do a quick kind of update. But we're about to have a baby. So, been a few extra tasks around the house for me to take care of. It might be a little while before we have another show after this, but I appreciate anybody who wanders by. So, what are we talking about tonight? I'll do a little quote for you from the Marjory Stoneman Douglas. She's the namesake of that school down there as we get started. We'll talk a little bit more about the Florida shooting as well. Bernie and Trump and the Russians, we're going to talk about that too. There was a lot of stuff that's happened this last month. Some of it we're going to gloss over a little bit, and some we'll just try and get done. I'll tell you in a minute. Anyway, it's a party. You have to be in it to decide how the party goes next. We'll talk a little bit about party politics and how those work and why that's how this country works. MS-13 insanity. It really is crazy. We'll talk about a little bit more why, about what's going on with some of that. Talk about the Obama portraits and some other little odds and ends, and then some science stuff. But with that, welcome back to the show. It's been a while. What's up, Joe? Welcome back. Let me see. So, for some reason, my Chromecast for my TV ain't working tonight. So, that's why we're doing this little silly start. There we go. Back in color and full time. So, I'm still kind of trying to get it back. This is why, the old angle. With the low light. Whatevs. The studio is what the studio is. So, the title for this week, let me go through the official thing. I'm trying to get all the official stuff. So when I cut these for posting later, they'll work better. Today is March 1st, 2018. This is episode 51, Full On Fascist. There's been a few things that the president's done in the last few days, literally, last few days, that are very, 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 very questionable. I don't know, saying he'd come for everybody's guns and stuff like that. The thing is, he gets away with it because his people don't really care for some odd reason. I don't know what happened to my thing. I closed it all, that's right. Get that going. Alright, so, Roy wants to log in here. And then Roy would like to go back to that page. Alright. I'm so well prepared. The quote as we get going tonight. By the way, thanks for coming to the show. I try and stay upbeat about this stuff, but I don't like talking about some of the things we're going to have to talk about tonight. This is a quote from Marjory Stoneman Douglas. She was a woman who lived a life that was worthy of having a school named after her. It says, be a nuisance where it counts. Do your part to inform and stimulate the public to join your action. Be depressed, discouraged, and disappointed at failure and the disheartening effects of ignorance, greed, corruption, and bad politics. But never give up. That's one of the things that I just, sounds good. It's hard to make political change, particularly in a country like the U.S. under the situation that we face now. So that's been one of the really, really kind of bright spots. We'll talk about that a little bit here as we talk some more about the shooting. I guess we're going to go right into it. So of course there was another mass shooting at a school. I hope when I come back and watch these videos 20 years down the road, we'll have solved this problem and listen to this a little bit. So this kid, I guess, apparently was a former student. Had been had some problems with his personal life and had those kind of those stressors, and was about to explode. There were a number of warnings. Nobody did anything particularly about it, and he was able to go into school and kill a bunch of kids. I don't want to ever have to talk about one of these stories again. One of the things that's come about this is the student survivors, the good things, I guess, right? Is there's been such an awareness and a push for change. Of course, the difficulty within the U.S. system is that immediate change is very, very difficult, which is why some of the things that the president said the other day were kind of ridiculous. I wish we could take some of the steps. Some of the steps I think that I would like to talk about. We'll talk about that a little bit. But there was another sit down with the president and some senators, and he shocked everyone, quote unquote, by saying shocking things that he won't follow up with. He went back on them this morning, said stuff, and this is the problem with one of the many, many problems with the president, is that he'll say things that he doesn't mean and won't follow up and doesn't really understand the implications of. And that makes the larger debate more difficult. He's also very much someone who wants to please everyone and make everyone happy. And so in a lot of these things, what he'll do is say what people want to hear. And generally, he'll go with, kind of the common sense thing. Now, the people want to hear common sense thing is usually, in a lot of cases, the Democratic position, which puts him in a weird spot. But it's odd how he gets to pick on Republicans and get away with certain things. Although I do think this latest thing did cause quite a stir with some Republicans, where he directly said, yes, I'm going to come take the guns, and we'll worry about the courts later. And I don't think he really quite understands how bad saying something like that is. But he also called for the death penalty for people today, for drug dealers, which, again, not sure how this exactly gets back to this, right? But again, just saying outlandish things to control the narrative a little bit. There's been like 4 or 5 over the last few days. And I haven't done a show in a month, so trying to put together some of the top stories for this month. I do still think this is the biggest thing. But yeah, he called for the death penalty for that. He's called for the death penalty for a lot of things. So again, his leadership here is kind of completely and utterly lacking. So it's been great to see some of the kids from the survivors come back and really push for something to happen. My stance on this is pretty straightforward. I don't think that we have a need for assault weapons, and I don't like people playing dumb about what those are. It's pretty straightforward. What are they? Modern what are they? Modern gaming guns, modern hunting guns, whatever that euphemism that they have for this class of weapon. There's a certain thing in physics. It's F equals ma, and force equals mass times acceleration. One of the reasons why these guns are designed the way they are is to cause a lot of damage by accelerating the ammunition a great deal, very, very fast. You'll see that feet per second. That's why they tear bodies apart so horribly. That's why they're called that whole semi-automatic thing. And the power, you don't need that for anything that I've seen. I've talked to a lot of people and heard a lot of people, and outside of I like to do it, it's fun, and that's great and all, but that's not an argument that works here. and there's no need for defense. These are offensive weapons, right? And that's what they were designed for. They weren't. Anyway, they were designed to kill lots of people quickly, and that's all there is. And we don't need them around. One of the best arguments I've heard for these, which is not, well, I like to use them for hunting, and it's like, well, you can't really hunt pigs with something that's not quite that strong. And one of the things that's about it that's so kind of gross about even that notion, right, that you need these kind of weapons to hunt feral pigs, because feral pigs can be dangerous. You ain't got that stopping power. It can just stop them like it can stop a human. Because, like, pigs, especially, I don't know if you've ever seen feral pigs or are familiar with them. They're pretty tough animals. And there is actually a bit of merit to that argument, but it's because these guns are designed to kill people that they're effective against the pigs. Pigs' carcasses and stuff like that, because of the way their flesh and bones can be used as a ballistic stand-in for humans, if need be. So I don't think there's a good argument for why people in the U.S. need these weapons at all. And the longer this goes on without us fixing something, it makes me kind of go, nah. I was going to read you a quick poem, and then we'll move on to the next section. But I thought it was pretty good. This is called America is a Gun by Brian Bilston. It says, England is a cup of tea, France a wheel of ripened brie, Greece a short, squat olive tree, America is a gun. Brazil is football on the sand, Argentina Maradona's hand, Germany an oompa band, America is a gun. Holland is a wooden shoe, Hungary a goulash stew, Australia a kangaroo, America is a gun. Japan is a thermal spring, Scotland is a highland fling. Oh, better to be anything than America as a gun. I do think we can change this. I think that's one of the reasons why I get engaged to do this. That's what the quote was about at the beginning. I think we need to fix a little bit of something about the way this country works, and that's one of the things we need to fix. It's one of the reasons I do this. Stop electing Republicans, please. We gotta. They're not gonna fix this. I mean, you listen to one of the most disgusting things to come out of the Florida shooting. Again, this is Florida. Was some of the attacks on the students themselves. One of them, there was actually, because Marco Rubio went and did like a large town hall where he got pretty much savagely destroyed, but then he came out and tweeted about how these people were disrespectful and mean and all this, and it became this kind of weird oblique attack on the kids who've come and been speaking out. InfoWars, of course, did their standard ridiculous crisis actor bullshit. They got 2 strikes so far from YouTube. They can't upload anything for the next 2 weeks, and anytime over the next 3 months they upload more of this crap, which they will, they're going to get banned forever from YouTube, which will be great. I think that alt-right and a lot of this stuff they're using some of the infrastructure that we use as good people to build this movement, and we need to build your own crap. I mean, really, take that Nazi shit elsewhere. But it's going to be hard to do that, and that comes to this next point. So over this last month, we saw the indictments come out. There were 13 Russians and a number of organizations indicted for their election meddling. And it's becoming clear now. I mean, it's pretty wild, right? Because we're in this world where it worked. I mean, the whole point of this was to sow discord in the American electorate and our democratic system, to put this obviously incompetent jackass who appears to be pretty compromised by Russia into power. And they did this working both sides, where they would both, push up Trump and then tear down Clinton. One of the ways that they were tearing down Clinton was by pushing up ye old Bernie Sanders. And they mentioned this in the indictment. And there was actually, I posted a link to it, and if anybody's interested, I'll be more than happy to do it again. He had an interview with, excuse me, the Vermont Public Radio, and just flat out denied that this happened. And the stuff that's in, and it literally says in the indictment, the FBI literally talks about how the troll forums, quote, support Bernie and Trump because their enemy here was Clinton. And they did this over the time. And in the interview, he talks about how he knew something weird was happening, well before this, like nearly 2 years ago now. But still denied that they helped him at all. And never answered the question, why didn't you come out before the election and say something? And his only kind of response was, well, Hillary should have done that. And she did do that. You should have as well, Bernie. And this is what it kills me about it. Because he's on the one side saying, well, Trump is denying that they helped him. And, he's so bad, blah, blah, blah. Did they help you? No, they didn't help me. But they attacked her. Yeah, sure, and I saw that. But that doesn't help me. Which is just, I hate, I really don't like people who are part of this. 30 years, right? Plus, he's been in politics, claiming somehow with a straight face that somebody attacking his opponent isn't helping him. And never, taking any kind of ownership for that, or that this happened even, and denying now that it happened. There's been another thing that happened, too, that came out. The Russian ads were quite pervasive. The ads, though, I don't think really tell much of the story. And I'd be interested to see some metrics on this as far as engagement goes between ads being used, and if I have 20 people in a room and they've got maybe one or two alts, I don't know, each, that's enough people to post something on every single major news outlets, every post, every story on social media, and push. I mean, and that's not even that's like one room full of people. But they did this, right? That's what's the crazy part too, right? Because this was going on, and I was mentioning this all the time during the campaign. Like, I just can't tell the difference between these Russian trolls and Bernie bros, and they were everywhere. And now you see that it was real, right? Because one of the things that they did, and one of the things that works really well in online conversation, because of just the black and white text-based nature of it. Nobody can tell tone. Nobody can tell that kind of stuff. So it's pretty easy to sow discord and push, ideas that are not. It's just easy to break up, to be a bad apple in a bunch, to spoil a group, to put ideas into into the concepts that people, and do it over and over and over and over again. Every story, there's some angle about how Hillary sucks. And it happened over and over and over again. And there's a lot of people who I still don't think Robert Reich would be one. And I've got nothing really against him per se, except that how much those kind of trolls overran his page and allowed the tone of all these conversations to be extremely negative towards Hillary even after she won. And also to push that denial that she had won after the primary was over, and this was going on, and now we know that this was a real thing. Which, from that just international politics, this is an international political conspiracy that was real. And it got the president, so this is huge, right? But then you have Bernie going, it's not real. What? You undercut everything when you do that, Bernie. Everything. I don't know. And that was one of the things that really blasted me about that. There's an actual Fox headline, I'll quote you, Oxford study saying Trump supporters share more fake news is fake news. They are inoculating themselves against this stuff. So it is only the law enforcement that becomes this objective observer on what the hell's going on. And if you undercut them, Bernie, you kill the whole fucking thing. Man. Manskis. So, there's another thing about how this worked and why it was so pervasive, especially on Facebook. because the way Facebook operates, it doesn't want to clean it up. It doesn't want to verify that these aren't real people. They don't want to go and report quarterly that the number of users went up by this much, but they removed this many bots, and so net they actually lost some users. And when you have nearly 1 billion, like 1 out of every 7 humans on the planet is in your database as a signed up user, your growth potential isn't that big. I mean, you can't just even to sustain that. You have millions. I mean, you know, I'm not going to do the math, but 10, 150,000 a day just to keep up with people dying out of 1 billion member users. So they have a very small incentive to make it difficult to sign up. And of course they had the whole, you know, for a while there you get 4 or 5 a day of the whatever, those fake account things. And so they've gotten rid of some of those. But even now, right, they don't want to clean up these accounts. Their preferred method is that you block an account that you know is spewing bullshit. But how does that's the thing that bothers me, because it doesn't really help other people, right? That, you know, that ends up with this situation where everybody's blocking half of this stuff and there's these other weird conversations going on, and the overall quality of the conversation, which is that thing that I'm kind of looking for, that signal within the noise, right? That good information gets lost because you're not even trying to clean up the bad actors. And so we'll see how long this can go on. I think they have been they've been a little bit more proactive. There are all but nothing on the transparency side. There needs to be more journalism done on that. I'd love to see some of the journalism pages do studies on how many real people are actually doing their quotes and doing conversations on their pages. So moving on a little bit, I was going to, actually did do a little bit of just full disclosure, volunteering this last weekend for one of the Democratic candidates here in Colorado. Just going out and talking to some Democraties about coming out to the caucus. I am not actually registered in any political party. I've been, I think, an independent my whole life. In Colorado, because of that, I couldn't actually go out and collect signatures to get a Democrat on the ballot. You have to be actually a member of the party to nominate a member of the party. I mean, this seems very straightforward and basic, right? We had this whole thing going on last time, and we're about to hit primary season. And I know it's not. It's, again, people who were all bitching about who gets to pick the candidates. I don't know. Are they totally involved? Because there's caucuses, like, next week for stuff. There is here, and they're all over the place. I think there was elections in various places last week. If you want to decide who's going to be the candidate, who's going to be one of the big ticket people, you got to get involved. I mean, you don't get to go to a party and you don't call up to somebody who's having a party and be like, what kind of music you got going on there? All right, I want you to change the music you guys are playing. Like, who's dancing right now if you're at your party? Well, I don't like those people dancing like that. You're like, you're not even at this party. Like, are there people outside? Are they smoking? Are they doing drugs? You're not at this party. You don't get to... I mean, if you're not in the party, if you're not at the party, if you're not a member of the party, who gives a shit what you think about what the party's going to go, the direction the party's going to go? Is the party going to wind down? Is the party going to go all night? Are we going to take the party? We're going to go, we're going to go streaking? We're going to go... What's the party going to do, right? Instead, we have all these people who are outside the party. You're like, the party sucks. I don't want to go to that party. It's like, well, okay, guys, but this is how it works here. So, if you want to get rid of the parties, the first thing you have to do, really, is get rid of the Electoral College, which means you have a really big task. And people are like, well, I just want to, I'm just going to vote third party, and that'll fix it. No, that will do nothing to fix it. Look, I'm with you, right? I tried to do that my first couple elections. Then I learned some stuff, so now I'll take it from an old guy. Gray, right? That's not going to fix it. So anyway, it's a party. It's like it's like if you're not inside the party, you can't decide what the party's going to do. Anyway, all right, moving on. MS-13 insanity. So there was a story that really illustrated how bad this is, and let me read this to you. Wilson Rodriguez Macareno, tough name there, saw a stranger peering into his house at 5:30 in the morning. Police who responded to his 911 call agreed the stranger was trespassing, but handcuffed Rodriguez instead. Do you want us to bring him to you? The officer asked ICE. That would be great, ICE responded. So basically somebody calls and says, hey, I need your help, there's something bad going on. Hey, we'll come take it out. Yeah, by the way, who are you? You know? So now, how long do you think it's going to be before people just stop calling the cops? Before people stop talking to the cops? Before people do anything at all to help, when they know that you're not, the cops aren't there to help you. They're there to arrest you. It's that, again, you can't, they're not going to help you catch criminals when you claim they are all criminals. It doesn't work. There are more folks standing up to ICE. There's been a few mayors and governors talking about it. The way this next election plays out will be big on that. I think you're going to see a little bit more, unfortunately, that polarization, because this is a tough issue that is not going away. We had 2 court rulings on the Supreme Court that are actually pretty bad, that are going to lead to news stories in the next few years that will make you somewhat ashamed to be American. There are, one, the Ninth Circuit threw out the notion that immigration detainees deserve lawyers and have any right to that or representation whatsoever, including children. So children will have to represent themselves in their deportation hearings, and then somehow find if they should have been, any of those relevant laws would have applied to them if they knew and they were lawyers, but they're kids. So that, and then also the Supreme Court ruled that there's indefinite detention without charge is kind of fine if you're not here legally, which is really bad. Also, that whole kind of indefinite thing is bad. So we're going to see how this goes. There's been a few setbacks on some of the specific powers and trying to really push it, but at the time that they're really pushing like the bans right at the border, you're also having these kind of things that are pushing laws and interpretations here, and stuff that where the government had been on one side of the issue and trying to push to look at it one way, now you're going to have the hardcore the other way. So there's going to be give, and you've seen this already. Meanwhile, while this is going on, right, you have the First Lady's family, who now is being apparently fast-tracked for citizenship through what the president calls that whole chain migration, which is the family-sponsored migration, immigration stuff. So it's perfectly fine for people in his own home, but not for others. The hypocrisy is painful, folks. It really, really, really is. The hypocrisy coming from Pence, we're going to run through some other things real quick, was really bad. He had this whole quote, and I did a thing where on the one hand he's like, North Korea trying to throw a military parade that's just showing their weakness. They're just trying to intimidate people, whereas the parade that Trump is talking about, I think, is a great idea, and I think it will really be great for our troops, and our enemies will know that they should be on notice. And he literally did it sentence to sentence. This is the same guy, remember, Pence, speaking of his hypocrisy, remember he went to that NFL game knowing that there would be players protesting and left. And then he's at the Olympics and doesn't stand for the North Korea ensemble as a protest as well. It's, and speaking of, again, Republican hypocrisy, let's talk about Mitt Romney, Mitt Reekney. I'm not sure exactly what his nickname's going to be, but you can make one up. He'll take it. He doesn't care. So this is how bad it is, right? His niece, I guess his daughter-in-law, was going by a hyphenated Romney name, Romney. Trump jokingly told her she needed to drop it because, Romney, who wants a fucking loser name? She dropped it. She did. Look that up. And then Romney takes this endorsement and is like, oh yeah, thanks for that endorsement. I totally needed that because even though he literally said, I would not have accepted your endorsement had I known this stuff. Now that I know this stuff, I will now accept your endorsement. The hypocrisy grows, it grows, but it does come back and it smashes because Kushner, he lost his clearance and Hope Hicks, she's gone. So, that's great. I mean, those are the kind of things that you want to see, and more come crashing down. I do still think the investigation will be ongoing and fun, and I can't wait to do that show. I'm looking forward to it. I was going to do a little bit of science stuff, but we're going a little bit long for the evening. I think I've done my thing. So I will move some of that to the next show, and we'll do that then. Keeps repeating. Is it Fructer? Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Alright. Well, we'll see what happens when I save it. And hopefully things will be better. And I'll see y'all next time. Might be next week, might be next month. Hopefully it'll be with the new little happy baby running around. So peace out, y'all. And I guess that's why nobody was watching, because it's not working. Good night.